Friday evening, the city of San Antonio showed up to break an NBA record with the Spurs having 68,000 fans in attendance for their game in the Alamodome against the Golden State Warriors. And while the fans showed up and had a great night, from I wasn't there, I don't live in San Antonio anymore, but just seeing from on TV what it looked like, I mean, it looked like a great environment there. While the fans did show up, the Spurs, unfortunately, as a team, did have a tough time. The Warriors just are a tough matchup for this San Antonio ball club, as we've seen so far this season in 2 games now. The Warriors have blown out the Spurs both times. What's up, everyone? This is Paul Garcia, Project Spurs, going through a post-game recap. So as we can see here from the quarter-by-quarter kind of game analysis here, the quick recap, the Spurs really struggled against the Dubs. It was pretty close for about, I'd say, 18 minutes of the game, and then from there, the Dubs take a double-digit lead. They're up by 14 at halftime, and they kind of hold that lead for a while. And then at the end of the third quarter and then into the fourth, the Dubs just completely blow the game open. They end up going up by as many as 39, and it's pretty much over there in the second half, where they end up winning the game overall by 31 points. So again, it was a tough night for San Antonio. This is now twice that they have struggled against the Warriors. So when we look at some analysis here for the Spurs, we see that their leading scorer was Tre Jones. He ends up with 21 points in the night. Very balanced scoring from all three levels of the floor, including the free throw lines. Keldon Johnson ends up with 17 points for San Antonio, 8 points in the paint. Doug McDermott comes off the bench with 14 points. Malaki Branham with 12 points, and then Romeo Langford got going early on with 11 points. The Spurs didn't win the mid-range by 10 points, but again, when you're losing the three-point line of the paint together, which that's just tough to do. I mean, having the mid-range advantage isn't going to be a big thing for a team. As we look at the Spurs' shooting numbers, they really struggled against this Warriors defense. 51% in the paint, that's a low number. They shot 36% from the three-point line, but they didn't take that many attempts. Again, that's just something that's happened to this team ever since, I'd say early December, where they just completely stopped taking threes. Now, part of that too, we do have to mention, is one of their best three-point shooters, DiVincenzo, is out right now due to injury. So maybe when Vassell comes back, eventually that number starts to tick up a little bit. But we have seen since December that three-point volume has completely gone down. The Spurs struggled from the mid-range, and then they got over 20 free throws. That's pretty good for them. So for the Warriors, I mean, they had multiple players having great games. You had Jordan Poole there off the bench with 25 points. They had Donte DiVincenzo also off the bench with 22 points. And then the starters, Klay Thompson gets 16 points. Andrew Wiggins, 16 points. Curry, 15 points. Kevon Looney with 14 points. Anthony Lamb, a former Spur, with 13 points. Wow, there's so many players in double-figure scoring. And then Moses Moody with 12 points. And like I said, the big area was that the Warriors won not only the paint, but they also won the three-point line. So when we look at just paint, threes, and free throws, they won that area by 41 points. And so yeah, it was just, if you look at the shooting numbers for the Warriors, they had a great night all over the floor against the Spurs' defense. 73% in the paint, 38% from the three-point line. So yeah, it's just this is a really tough matchup for San Antonio, as we've seen now through 2 games. Whether it's in Golden State or whether it's in San Antonio, the Spurs just have had a lot of trouble against this Warriors team, especially because for some reason every time the Spurs play the Warriors, they're almost like at full strength. All right, so who were the 3 standout players for the Spurs? Even though it was a blowout, Tre Jones had he was competing there, trying to help the Spurs stay as close as they could to the Warriors. Tre's just been on a really good stretch. Tom Orsborn of the San Antonio Express News put out a tweet during the game where he kind of went through Tre's scoring numbers in the last 5 games, and he really has been one of the leading scorers for the team. He's really increased his shot volume and his shot efficiency. So Tre ends up starting for 30 minutes. He scores 21 points on 11 shot attempts, 1 rebound, 5 assists, 2 fouls, and 2 turnovers. Doug McDermott off the bench there, efficient, 22 minutes, 14 points on 7 shot attempts, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 foul, 1 steal. And then Keldon Johnson, 31 minutes starting, 17 points on 11 shot attempts, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 foul, and 1 steal, and also 2 turnovers, and also 1 block for Keldon. So again, tough night for San Antonio. I mean, yeah, just the Warriors are just a really bad matchup for them, especially, like I said, with their high volume with shooting threes, the way that their defense can carve you up with all their passing and the cuts that they make, their players. It's just a tough night for San Antonio. So the Spurs are off on Saturday, and then they are back in action on Sunday against the Sacramento Kings, this time back in their normal home building, the AT&T Center. So for Project Spurs, I am Paul Garcia. Have a great evening.